is up next here in Florida. When I get to Fox News meteorologist Adam Klotz, he's in the Weather Center, has been monitoring this by the hour throughout the day as we get another gust here kicking up as the storm moves across the state. Adam, what's the coordinates? What do you see?
Bill, it's kind of an interesting situation here. I'd like to show you first with where this made landfall. Siesta Key's about 60 miles south of Tampa. That is a huge part of this story. Now, it's kind of a top-loaded storm, so everything on the north, that's where the heaviest rain is. That's where the strongest winds have been. We've seen some gusts recently in Tampa, 83 miles an hour. But these wind bars are showing you the direction of the wind. All of this wind is coming from the west and it's coming from the east. So it's going overland, it's running over the bay, and it's pushing the water out to sea. That's the exact opposite of what you see when you see a storm surge. So we will have what you call a negative storm surge. We were talking about maybe getting 10 feet, 15 feet of storm surge. Instead, it's the opposite. So some of these areas, this is below, right? So it's pushing this water in the bay out to sea. You're 5 feet lower than you typically would be because of these strong winds funneling out. So if you're south of this, suddenly you're talking about the winds coming from the Gulf of Mexico, pushing back on land. We're looking at wind gusts here, 60, 70 miles an hour. They have been higher than that. That is grabbing some of that ocean water and it's pushing it in. Naples, you're up 5 feet. Fort Myers, you're up 4.3 feet. This is still major storm surge. The problem is you get up places like Sarasota, some of these smaller communities between Fort Myers and up towards Tampa. There just aren't any gauges. So we don't know. We won't know until tomorrow morning. Are they seeing 8 feet of storm surge? Are they seeing 10 feet of storm surge? We just can't be certain right now. But if you're on the south side of this storm, that's the direction you need for this to ultimately become a really big problem. Looking forward, well, we see pretty much the entire state dealing with some of these winds, and boy, have they been high, at least at times. Areas here, we've seen gusts getting up over 100 miles an hour. That's going to continue, and it's those big wind gusts on top of this rain that's just been coming down that's taking out power. We're running up to close to 1.5 million folks. I suspect that is going to continue because this is going to stay a strong storm. The rains are going to continue to come down, so the ground's saturated, and that's when this starts to fall. We're expecting this Category 2 hurricane to stay a hurricane as it crosses the state. So everything here in the red bill, that includes you in Orlando, winds anywhere from 75 to 110 miles an hour. Obviously enough to take down more trees and cause more power outages. And on top of all of that, Bill, this has been the most active tornado hurricane that we have ever seen, 126 tornado warning. That's still feasible as we head through the overnight hours, so plenty to pay attention to.
Yeah, Adam, I've been watching you a bit earlier today, and that number really stunned you. And I heard you reporting on it. A warning means a tornado's been spotted. And maybe it's still in the air, and maybe it's touched down on the ground, but 120 in about a 3-hour period. That is just remarkable to me.
It truly is, and it's not unheard of to get tornadoes when there's a hurricane, but the size of these tornadoes, the ones that have been confirmed, it's not something you typically see.
Well, keeping a close eye on Daytona Beach, there was one estimate earlier today they could get as much as 18 inches of rain. I don't know if that's going to happen, but that's where the storm's going to exit. Adam, stand by, okay? Do not go far back there in New York. Want to get to Jeff Paul? He's live about 20 minutes away from our location here in Orlando, where things are kicking up now. Jeff, where are you, and how does it look and feel?
Well, yeah, we're right here near Lake Willis in Orlando, and that's where there's still a lot of unknowns in terms of what Hurricane Milton could deliver to Central Florida. A lot of folks right now are concerned about two things: strong wind gusts and what that could do to this area here in Central Florida, as well as the flooding. The ground is already really saturated, so when you get inches upon inches of rain falling on that already heavily saturated ground, of course, you've got a lot of flooding. Now, so far here along Lake Willis, you can see, you've got these intermittent gusts of wind sort of picking up, not very strong. The rain has been fairly constant, but really the concern for a lot of folks are falling trees and, of course, all of that flooding. We spoke with one local who's been living here along Lake Willis for the last couple of decades, and he's a little concerned that some of the tourists and some of the newcomers who have moved to Florida maybe aren't taking this storm exactly very seriously.
Because up until 2004, I think that was the case. A lot of people didn't think that we could have a Category 1 or 2 hurricane come through Orlando. And we did. And it did a lot of damage.
Now, it does seem like folks, Bill, at least for the most part, I don't know what you're seeing, you're out there in downtown Orlando, but it seems like people are listening to those warnings. We're not seeing too many people out on the roads. The hotels seem like they're packed with not only people from the Tampa area, but from people all around Central Florida trying to just kind of hunker down and ride this storm out. In fact, we actually drove out just a little bit ago, less than a mile away, to go to a nearby gas station, a 7-Eleven. They were still open. They had gas, and the folks working there, they seemed happy. People were coming in, getting still some of those last-minute things like water, food, and ice. Bill?
They're going to be busy tomorrow, too. Thank you, Jeff. Jeff Paul in Orlando as well. The Attorney General in Florida is Ashley Moody. And good evening to you. Thank you for your time. What are you hearing, and what do people in your state need to know?
Well, of course, good evening. I know you're there in Orlando. Milton is heading across our state. I am in the Tampa Bay area, so I think it's headed from right over me straight towards you. But, we are advising folks to hunker down. We're in the thick of it right now. And to be comforted and know that we have planned for this, and we have not only rescue personnel to preserve life, but law enforcement officers to maintain order as soon as the weather permits the safety of those first responders.
Sometimes these storms don't meet the moment, and that can be a really good thing. I don't get the sense that this is the case. This appears to me to be a significant storm with massive surge that's affecting millions of people on the west side of your state. Is that your evaluation during this early hour of the storm?
Yeah, this was a storm that we tried, as you know, the weather experts tried very hard to predict where it was going to make landfall, how fast it would be, how big the storm would be, where the storm surge would be. Interestingly, we saw tornadoes popping up all over Florida on the East Coast, even before it made landfall. Here on the West Coast, we know from speaking with some of the sheriffs that we've seen destruction from these tornadoes, even fatalities. So I think on the other side of the storm, we're going to see a lot of effects, catastrophic damage, and as best we can and try to predict and warn. These things are unpredictable, and we're ready. Of course, we plan and make preparations, and I've seen a historic amount of resources ready to go, from utility workers to law enforcement personnel to urban search and rescue. But I do think, like you said, I think this is going to be catastrophic, and I think it's going to be really an assessment of not only damage but lives when we come through this.
I believe you.
And on that topic,
you don't go to bed
can you
till
confirm reports of fatalities in the county of St. Lucie, which is in the southeast side of the state? Can you confirm that tonight?
I don't want to get ahead of personnel there in St. Lucie, but I do know from law enforcement that themselves suffered damage to the sheriff's office, but they did have to respond to communities there, and I do believe they suspect fatalities.
Wow, so we will follow that story and hope for a better outcome. We'll speak again tomorrow. Thank you. We're going to bring in Tyler Payne. He's the mayor of Treasure Island, Florida. He decided to stay and ride the storm out. Mayor Payne, good evening to you. You are due west of Tampa. I assume you're very close to the water, if not on it. What are your conditions today?
I actually evacuated about 6 miles inland at my office, so we're still getting significant rain and wind gusts in the 80s. We've lost power, as you can probably tell, but it is, I can't imagine what it's like out on the beaches, and I really hope that everyone did heed those evacuation orders to leave.
Yeah. We were talking with one of your colleagues earlier today, the mayor of Clearwater. He said that everyone left. Is that your read on your town also, of Treasure Island?
Yeah, absolutely. I was out on the island around 2 o'clock today, and it was a complete ghost town, which is really great to see that everybody heeded the warnings, because we were hit really hard with Helene and the storm surge, so we're in the middle of all the debris cleanup, and everyone has all the contents from their homes out by the road, because we had most of the homes in our city under 2 to 3 feet of water. So we tried the best that we could to have our contractors clean all that up in advance, but that made these evacuation orders even more important because all of that debris is most likely kind of flying around at this point, probably causing even more damage.
You know, Mayor, I've met a lot of people in a hotel here in Orlando, and they're all from the Tampa area, like yourself, and they've all evacuated to Orlando where they're not getting smacked with the storm yet again. But a few of them told me that Helene 13 days ago scared them, and they took it as a warning shot. And I'm just wondering, you know, how you measure, you know, that reaction tonight, and when you consider that the Bay of Tampa had not taken a direct hit in more than 100 years, and you can't help but get a little complacent over the time, thinking that you're in a pretty safe zone. What's your feeling on that now, Mayor?
Yeah, absolutely. My grandparents and my dad moved to Treasure Island in 1970, so we've been residents of the island for over 50 years, and that's what everyone said before Helene. We had a lot of people who did not evacuate during that storm because everyone said, oh, it's never happened here. We can't experience something like that. So coming off the heels of Helene and a lot of people experiencing that firsthand and sharing those stories with their friends and neighbors of the terror that they experienced with water coming to their homes and sleeping on their countertops while the water was rising, I think really encouraged people to leave. So I would have really hated to see what would have happened if we had this storm without Helene right before it, because I think that we probably would have had a lot more people staying on the island, and this really is really terrible conditions to be out there.
It's a great point. Unfortunately, it's a great point. Mayor, thank you for your time and good luck at daybreak. Mayor Tyler Payne, Treasure Island. Thank you, sir. Want to get to Ashley Harding now. She's riding out Milton and Sarasota with her husband. Ashley, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
My brother's
Okay, I can see you now as well. You stayed. It was a direct hit. How did you make it through so far?
We have prepared as much as we could. We have our shutters up. We've tried to tie things down. We have family who also decided to stay, and we're hoping that, you know, together we can help each other, be there for each other. But it's definitely scary. We're in the thick of it, and it's crazy. It's windy. I don't really know what's going on out there. Our power is out now.
Ashley, what do you hear? Knowing that it's dark, you can't see much. What do you hear?
Our whole house, you can just hear the wind coming through the shutters a little bit. You can hear the whistling outside. It's pretty scary.
Ashley, is your home built to hurricane specifications?
It is, and that's one of the reasons we decided to stay and hunker down, because we feel safer in our home than out there traveling, trying to find somewhere else to go.
So you've got the shutters, and I imagine the windows are thick too then, right?
Thick windows. I'm not quite sure if they're hurricane proof, but we've got all the shutters on. The house is made of cement, so it's supposed to be sturdy enough to sustain these winds. And hopefully we're far enough away from the ocean that we're not going to see the surge. Although my family's house is on Siesta, so not quite sure what we're going to go back to there.
Wow. Last question here. Helene went ripping through there about 2 weeks ago. It scared a lot of people, but not you. Why did you feel it was different?
I feel like, you know, so many people evacuated because of Helene. So many people were terrified and were leaving. We knew we could ride it out and hunker down and stay safe. So we just didn't want to add to the chaos out there and take up any resources, really.
Listen, good luck to you, okay? I know it's a scary moment. I'm wishing the best of luck in your parents too. Siesta Key is just south of you. You know how beautiful that is right there on the ocean. And it took a direct hit, so we're going to have to wait until the sun comes up to figure out what's happening in Siesta Key. Ashley, good luck to you and your husband. Hurricane Milton, extreme winds even at this hour. Winds of 110 miles an hour. You've got a rising storm surge up and down the Gulf Coast. We're going to get an update from the National Hurricane Center about 40 minutes from now, but in the meantime, Milton is a monster, and Milton is still out there. More from some of the worst affected areas with our reporters at the Fox News Channel and Fox Weather up and down the Florida coast. We will hear from all of them coming up still this hour.
Advil liquid gels are faster and stronger than Tylenol rapid release gels. Also from Advil Targeted Relief, the only topical with 4 powerful pain-fighting ingredients that start working on contact and lasts up to 8 hours.
What's the #1 item in a crisis? Food. Because when the world goes sideways, grocery shelves get picked bare, and people worry they'll go hungry. That's why you need 4 Patriot's best-selling 3-month survival food kit. Food designed to last for 25 years, tastes great, and is easy to make. Packed with 688 servings and 24 delicious meals for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Get your food kit with free shipping and free mini kits at 4patriots.com.
Want the effects of Viagra, but faster? Meet Rove Sparks. They contain sildenafil and tadalafil, but Sparks dissolve
Where
under
you
the
think
tongue.
those?
Dissolvables work faster than old school pills. See if Sparks are right for you
I thought you
at
were going to the business.
rove.com/sparks.
A large retail store just canceled a huge order, leaving us with a ton of extra
don't
My
want to.
Pillows. But you know what?
said you didn't
That's
want
their
no
loss.
ones.
I'm gonna make it your gain. For the first time ever, you get standard classic My Pillows for wholesale prices, only $14.88. I can't believe I'm even saying that. Only $14.88. But it gets even better. For a limited time, I'm gonna offer my entire classic collection at wholesale prices. Upgrade to a queen size My Pillow for just $18.88. King size only $1 more. Get my body pillows for $29.88 and multi-use My Pillows for only $9.88. So go to mypillow.com or call the number on the screen. Use your promo code to take advantage of wholesale pricing for the first time ever on TV, including my standard size My Pillow, only $14.88. They've never been offered this low before. We have limited quantities at this price, so limit's gonna be 10, and once they're gone, they're gone.
At SimpliSafe, we build advanced security sensors and cameras for your whole home, powered by 24/7 professional monitoring and Fast Protect technology, exclusively from SimpliSafe for faster police response. There's no safe like SimpliSafe.
Looking for a way to stretch the dollar? With Insurify, you can cut your car insurance bill in half. Scroll through dozens of prices and tap to switch online. That's it. No phone calls and no wasted time. Go to Insurify and save today.
Obama hits the Harris campaign trail as he begins to stump in critical swing states. What does it mean for Kamala's run and the 2024 race? Jesse breaks it down on Prime Time.
Refill?
Help yourself, man.
Dude, dog food in the fridge?
It's not dog food. It's fresh pack, real meat, real veggies, real weird. He was bad luck anyway.
Fresh Pet. It's not dog food, it's food.
My mental health was better, but uncontrollable movements called TD. Tardive dyskinesia started disrupting my day.
TD felt embarrassing.
I felt like disconnecting. I asked my doctor about treating my TD and learned about Ingrezza.
Ingrezza is clinically proven for reducing TD. Most people saw results in just 2 weeks. People taking Ingrezza can stay on most mental health meds. #1 prescribed Ingrezza has simple dosing for TD. Always one pill, one stimulant. Ingrezza can cause depression, suicidal thoughts, or actions in patients with Huntington's disease. Pay close attention to and call your doctor if you become depressed, have sudden changes in mood, behaviors, feelings, or have thoughts of suicide. Don't take Ingrezza if you're allergic to its ingredients. Ingrezza may cause serious side effects, including angioedema, potential heart rhythm problems, and abnormal movements. Report fevers, stiff muscles, or problems thinking, as these may be life-threatening. Sleepiness is the most common side effect.
Take control by asking your doctor about Ingrezza.
Back here live in Orlando, I'm Bill Hemmer on the special coverage of Milton, this hurricane that is a stubborn force of nature moving across the state of Florida tonight. A number of updates to give you just during that commercial break there. 1.5 million without power. Downgraded to a Cat 2, but still packing powerful winds of 110 miles an hour. And this is the worst news. In the county of St. Lucie, which is in the eastern coast toward the southern part of the state, there are now confirmed fatalities by way of the Associated Press. Apparently a senior community that's lined with mobile homes had 125 homes destroyed from that tornado we had mentioned a short time ago. That tornado was near Fort Pierce, as I recall from earlier today. And there were reports about casualties down there, but unconfirmed until now. And the sheriff of that county is Keith Pearson. I'm just reading right now. He put a video on Facebook showing a 10,000 square foot iron building that had been twisted into a crumpled heap by a tornado. And that's where the sheriff's office keeps its patrol cars. Luckily, the patrol is okay. But you have confirmed fatalities in that senior citizen community that we'll try and get some more information on you throughout the night. I want to get to the other part of Florida now. All right, so St. Lucie is on the eastern side. From the western side, Madeira Beach, Mike Seidel is still feeling the wrath of Milton. I want to get to Mike now live and give the update on the conditions there. Mike, good evening to you. What are you seeing? What are you feeling?
Good evening, Bill. Well, we've come into a safer area. There's still wind, and it's really ripping through under the hotel here, our safe place. And I don't know if you can hear it, but things are just battering, and it's a very loud and noisy night. And what brought us back here off the street where we were talking earlier, see that pile of debris out there? That's part of the building from the roof. There's a rooftop deck up. Whoa, there goes part of the fence out into the road. That's part of the rooftop deck. There's a bar up there, there's a pool, it's a nice place. Not tonight though. And remember, winds increase with light, so we've already have reported wind gusts south of here of 105 miles an hour. And so the winds up there may be even higher, and they're still howling. Rainfall too has been an issue. There's a flood warning out for this area, and a flash flood emergency was issued, and that goes till 2:30 for parts of Hillsborough County and here in also Pinellas County, especially the St. Pete area. One area over there has had 14 inches of rain so far today, and they've had over 7 inches in 1 hour. So that's why there's that flash flood emergency. No reports of any homes or rescues from homes at this point. Of course, this is not a night. Many emergency officials have been pulled off the roadways for safety reasons. So the wind still howls here. We're still on the back edge. We're on the northwest part of the eye wall. This northern eye wall has been vicious with winds 80, 90 plus miles an hour at the Tampa airport. Power continues to go out. We're now about 60% of customers here in Pinellas County without power. And I'm just, can we spin around here? Let's see if we can spin around and show you this, because this is really phenomenal. The wind and the rain and the debris just blowing through here. You can hear, whoa, you can hear things crashing. There goes part of the fence blowing through the shot. I think you may have seen that, Bill.
Mike, if you need to get cover, go ahead and do it. You know, the governor's been warning us for days that there was so much debris from the last storm, they didn't get it cleared off enough, and they were worried about flying projectiles. Is that what you're seeing there, or is this all new and different?
No, this is new and different. There's a fence on the back side of the lower level here in the parking garage. That's why we're here, because we can put our cars up to 20 feet, and now that the surge is a non-issue here, that's good. But the fact of the matter is, this is a fence. It's like a vinyl fence. It's not metal, and I think it got some damage from the lead, but there's nothing left except the posts. And it's all been blowing out into the road, and that's what you saw fly by. So these are pieces of vinyl fencing blowing by. It's not metal fencing. And again, debris around the area. And all the debris, by the way, that's still sitting in all the neighborhoods. But unfortunately, without the surge, it's not going to float anywhere, but I'm sure some of that has been picked up and blown around by these wind gusts pushing 100 miles an hour. So certainly the high point tonight, as far as promising news, is the storm went into her south, and that kept the surge away from the beaches, and it's going to keep the surge way down if there's anything, because this wind now is moving north out of Tampa, so that's going to really blow the water out of Tampa Bay towards the Gulf. In fact, we checked the gauge at Clearwater Beach, and the tide is coming in, but the water is 2 feet below where it should be. So that's a good sign from a certain perspective. There's still a lot of wind tonight, and this is all heading across the I-4 corridor. It's going to knock out even more power as we go through the overnight hours.
All right, you find a good concrete wall and stay safe next to it, okay, Mike? Talk to you a bit later. Mike Seidel has been covering storms for decades. Thank you for that. He's in Madeira Beach, which is in just to the west of Tampa. So he's on the north side of the Bay of Tampa, reporting there live from St. Lucie County. Now, there is a search and rescue effort underway after 125 homes have been destroyed by that tornado. That search and rescue is happening right now in the dark of night. Also with me now is Jared Moskowitz, Democratic Congressman from Florida, represents the southeast side of the state as well. And sir, good evening to you, and thank you for your time. I'm not sure if you're in Florida or Washington, D.C., but I can see your picture right now. Do you have any information on what's happening in St. Lucie County in that senior community?
Yeah, so I'm in South Florida, Bill, and so I'm about 3 counties south of St. Lucie. It's not too far from here, about an hour and a half from my house. And, you know, the story coming out of Milton is going to be